All right, everybody. Today, I'm going to tell you all a little story. A story about the time I kind of met Iker Casillas. For a little bit of backstory, I get a lot of DMs on Instagram or on Twitter, so I don't necessarily read them often, but I'm glad I read this one. This guy, Chris, he's a viewer. He might be watching this video. Chris, you're the man if you are, but he sent me a DM telling me he was working with this app called the Play app, and they would be hosting an El Clasico watch along and then hangout party thing the night before the Clasico. And I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. It sounds interesting at the very least. And he was inviting me to go and to film or to just talk to people, whatever. He was asking me if I wanted to go, and I thought it might be a cool experience. I might be able to meet a couple viewers and just talk football with some guys. And so he told me a few things about the night. There would be it would be pickup matches where guys could go and play, or it was like a little tournament where the winning team would be able to meet Iker Casillas and hang out with him for a second, and thought that was pretty cool, but I wasn't exactly sure the content I could make, and I was a little skeptical of it because I don't make short form video. This doesn't feel like something for a long form video, or it didn't necessarily at the time, and so I didn't necessarily know what to do. But in the conversation, I started thinking about it, and I do remember a lot of people making those interview videos after football matches in England and things like that, and thought, okay, maybe I could do that. I don't know what the venue's going to look like, but maybe it'll be like that. And at the very least, it'll be a nice little networking opportunity because he said people from La Liga were going to be there. Saturday's football guys were going to be there. And I thought, okay, might just be cool to have some conversation and maybe meet some viewers as well. That was the main point too. I wanted to meet some Barcelona fans. Turns out there weren't a ton of them there, but it was still a cool experience. But I end up agreeing. We're going to go to, I think it's called Soccer Roof in Brooklyn. Gonna go meet some people and get there really early so that I can set up, see the venue. And so I head over there. Wasn't the longest trip for me, but it was also to some, like, the middle of nowhere, to some dock I've never been to. It was weird getting there, but I got there. And it is chaotic, to say the least. It's in a indoor soccer venue where there's a bunch of pitches to play. There's a little bar area and then an outdoor spot, which is actually, it's very nice. But I was just, everyone was running around. I wasn't necessarily, they didn't expect me to be there or anything. The viewer, Chris, who, reached out to me, he was kind of just doing it because he was a viewer. And so I kind of just walked in the back door, and it was very chaotic. They're all running around setting up for the event, and I understand that. That's just how running events like this especially when you apparently had this high-profile player going. I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. I wanted to get an interview with him, and I was excited just because I thought it would be a good opportunity for content. But I walked in, I see the venue, and they're trying to hand me off to different people, find Chris, who's running around as well, and get me a badge so I don't look like just some nerd with a camera. I just look like a nerd with a camera with a badge now. So I got the badge, and I'm meeting some people. I met Frankie Flo, who's a freestyler. You might have seen him on Instagram. He was kind of the host of the event. And so at that point, it was about an hour or 30 minutes before everything started, and I was just scoping out spots for potentially interviewing people. It wasn't organized for me in any way because, again, they weren't setting it up to facilitate short form content or YouTube videos being made. That wasn't the point of the night. And I didn't necessarily think it was, but as someone who hasn't made that content before, I didn't really know what I was getting into. And so it was a little intimidating for me. But I sit there, you begin seeing Barcelona fans and Real Madrid fans coming in as the event starts to begin. And let me tell you, it was a sea of white, a sea of Madrid homies everywhere. And it was tough. I was probably one of 9 or 10 people with a Barcelona jersey on for the first hour and a half of the event, which is before the football pitches or the pickup matches really kicked off. It was mostly just Madrid fans getting there early because they had bought special tickets to go and meet Iker Casillas, and not really guys there to play football, not necessarily, or just to hang out and watch the game, because this, again, was the day before the game. They had a watch along the day after, but I was live streaming. And thank God I was. That was such a sick game to live stream. And for the most part, I kind of just walked around filming the venue. I was trying to figure out content to make, and I was also kind of nervous because I didn't know what kind of content I was going to make with Iker. So I was a little worried about how it would all play out. And all that nervousness turned into me not interviewing a single fan there. I didn't put together any content, which is unfortunate to me, but I've never been in that environment. I think I've uploaded 3 shorts on YouTube ever, so it's difficult for me to get into that flow. It's just not what I'm comfortable with, not what I normally do, and so I wasn't able to do it that night. But I got some cool footage of the games going on. I met Chris. Chris was an awesome guy, showed me around a little bit, made me a little bit more comfortable, and I met a few other people there that were either working the event or were partners of people working the event, and got talking to them. And got a little bit more comfortable. But then came the very exciting moment of the night where Iker Casillas was supposed to come. It was actually earlier than I thought it would be, but you could tell immediately when they were preparing the lines and everything. They brought in the security guards, and there was, at this point, maybe 200, 250 people all packed outside at this venue. Maybe it was less than that. I have no idea. It was a lot of people. And because I had my special little press badge, I could go wherever I wanted. That's pretty cool. It's nice to have that exclusivity feeling and the ability to, you know, get shots that I would have never had access to if it weren't for Chris, if it weren't for my viewers in this channel, which is really cool. It's not something I've felt before. I know I've seen other creators get opportunities like this. Not something I ever expected to, especially at the signing for one of Real Madrid's most legendary goalkeepers. But everybody starts lining up, they get in there, and man, even the social media guy who's working the event, I forgot his name, but he was really cool. He got some really cool shots that night. They were getting nervous. They were all trying to get stuff signed, and I understand it. It was easier for me because I don't care about Iker Casillas very much. You know, I wasn't there getting nervous. I appreciated that. If it was Ronaldinho or even David Villa or some Barcelona legend, even Luis Garcia, honestly, I would have been more excited, more wanting to talk to them and actually, you know, get some crazy content out for you guys, because I knew you guys would care more. But I was still hoping that I would be able to put something together with Iker, maybe get him to say something that I could call out, but then I was like, maybe I'll get in trouble for that, or I don't want to burn any bridges, especially when I have no bridges built. As everybody flowed in and tensions rised, I was able to worm my way to the very front, like inside that circle of cameras. There was like 4 cameras, 3 of them being Iker's team, 1 of them being from the Play app guys, and then 1 from myself. But then, you know, everything gets a little crazy for about 4 or 5 minutes when Iker Casillas walks in. He's got 4 or 5 guys around him, his publicist behind him, and I'm noting the publicist too because she was a character apparently. It was intense. I was a little stressed out. That's how wild it is. And again, I don't care about him, or I don't care about getting anything really with him. I wasn't there for any reason other than just getting some cool clips. And so I was less stressed out, but it was such an overwhelming environment with these guys really screaming at him, and they were fans. I'm not criticizing them in any way. It was just wild to watch because I haven't been in that environment, especially behind the ropes or inside the ropes of that. So he walks in, you know, he gets behind this table, they start taking photos and everything. And man, the guys around me, I don't know if I caught any audio. I don't think I did, but the guys around me were all shouting at me, trying to get me to take their phone and take a picture with him or get something signed with him. And I genuinely didn't know what I could do. And so I didn't. I didn't know if I would get in trouble, or I didn't want to mess up any repertoire I already had with the guys at the Play app, which if you guys haven't already, check it out. It's just an app that organizes pickup games all over the United States. And I think it's a really cool thing because as someone who lives in New York City and doesn't necessarily have a team or have a bunch of guys to go out and play with every week, yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's a cool thing to do, especially when moving to new areas and things like that. But the point is, I didn't want to ruin any relationship I had with them by maybe taking a misstep, because they were just as stressed out as any of those fans were as well. But yeah, then you see the NYC Real Madrid Peña come in and they take pictures with Casillas. Everyone's getting a little excited. I talked to a few of his photographers too for a second. They all spoke Spanish, and I speak un poco español for the most part, have some good conversations with them, take some clips of the fans, show the chaos going on around me. And in my head at this time, I'm like, how the hell am I going to make this into a cohesive story? Because I just really don't know how I can edit this into a short. I don't edit shorts to begin with, but I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to put something together that's entertaining for everybody. Thankfully, I kind of figured that out here. You guys will let me know if this is entertaining or not. I was never at any point during that whole signing phase in any mind that I thought, okay, this is the moment where I'm going to go up and interview him. It wasn't really set up for me to do that at that point, really, and without me knowing much Spanish. I know he doesn't really speak any English. It would have been difficult to get clips of him there. A reminder, I have this special badge, meaning I can go anywhere I want, more or less, and follow Iker wherever he wants to go. And they do go somewhere after they sign everybody's thing. He goes up and signs a few of the other guys that were standing behind me that were yelling the whole time. They were nice. They were pretty cordial, which I think is important in those situations. But Iker went out of his way to go and sign stuff for him. He also his shoes were like untied, or he had slipped his feet into his shoes, like when you do when you're rushing out. So he looked like he was in a rush. He handled it very well. Seemed like a very nice guy, but it was overwhelming, and his publicist was rushing everything, man. She was I don't know if she was his publicist, his girlfriend, but she was pushing everything. Get over with. Get this over with. Let us get out here. Apparently they wanted to go to dinner or something. I don't know. Let the fans see the guy. You know what I mean? But whatever. I get it. But then the signings are over. He does some extra signings, which I think is good, but he moves into the football pitches where he goes into the middle football pitch so we can see the final, or I don't know if it's a semifinal or the final of all the pickup matches that they had been having that night. And I think they were giving away some La Liga match balls or something, signs, and for the winners, something like that. And so they were going to make a whole event of it. They were going to take some clips of them for social media. And I think they actually asked me to take clips for social media. I haven't reached out. I haven't talked to anybody since the event except Chris. So, and I don't even think I've talked to Chris. So sorry, Play App, I haven't done that. But because he's in the middle area, there's no way to get to him because it's all fenced in. There are 2 gates that are blocked by security guards. I was a little unsure if I was going to be allowed in, but I think just with the camera and the badge, they were like, whatever. Yeah, they let me in. And so I was able to kind of just go around. I got some tried to get some cinematic shots that I'll try to show you guys right now, or just some cool shots of him watching the game go on and stuff of Frankie and them talking. He seemed like a very nice guy who's talking to everybody. I think he's shy, which is not necessarily a surprise, but it's always interesting when you get to know a little bit of these guys and see how they act in person rather than just seeing them on screen or seeing them on the pitch. And so Iker overall seemed like a pretty good guy, but I was getting some footage around him. I was like 2 feet away from him, a couple points, a little uncomfortably close with my camera, honestly, but I wanted to get cool shots. I was hoping to get an interview. I wasn't going to push for it though, and neither were the Play App guys. My boy Chris wasn't really there, so I didn't have anybody pushing me to get it, and I was talking to Frankie, and I just didn't necessarily feel like it was the time because he was technically watching. My whole goal was to get some sort of short out of it. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll try to say something that will trigger him in some way, maybe something about Madrid or something about Barcelona or something that I could edit into something funny. So first I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything against Real Madrid right now or pro Barcelona or anything wild, just because, again, I'm a guest here. I'm not doing them a favor in any way, and I can very easily get kicked out or just asked to leave or never invited back and ruin a good relationship that I think I made, or get Chris in trouble, which is the last thing I wanted to do. So instead I thought, okay, maybe there's something I could say. Maybe I could get into a conversation with him naturally, because I was right behind him. I'm right next to him with this camera. I'm watching the game too though. And so I'm holding my camera here and I say something like, I've basically forgotten about Iker.
No pressure. It's only Iker Casillas.
But he turned around, saw the camera, it was scoured or something while he was saying SOS, and stopped. And didn't really look at me again after that. I don't think he was mad at me or, anything like that. He was probably just a little uncomfortable that I was right there with the camera. I wasn't also wearing Blaugrana. I was just wearing a navy sweater with the Barca logo right here. So it wasn't the most obvious that I was a Barca fan. Maybe he saw that. I don't know. But it didn't lead to anything. I also didn't really try or push after that. There were some moments where he, signed a few things with the winners of the match after it. And I was able to, talk to his publicist, or not his team, a little bit. They were all cool guys. It was just a little uncomfortable. But overall, seems like a great guy. Did everything, stayed longer than he probably wanted to, or his publicist wanted to. And overall seemed like a really good time for all the fans there that wanted to meet him and wanted to see him. And, he hung out with the team, got some social media clips for them. Didn't get an interview with me, I guess, but I think it's also partially because I wasn't technically invited. I think it was really cool that I was able to be inside the ropes with Iker Casillas and his team and his family, and it was just an experience I'm probably not going to be able to get very often, and I know very few people are able to, and it was cool. I think I handled it well. I think he was very nice and seemed like a good dude in a way. I didn't know anything about him really personally. He's a very shy or quieter guy, and so yeah. It's not like I was surprised necessarily. It's not like if I met Dani Alves in person or something and he was shy. That would have blown my mind. But this was yeah, sounds about right. But still, it was a cool experience. I'm glad I was able to meet him and his team. I also did meet a few viewers there, and that was pretty cool. I think it was 2 or 3 people recognized me, but I had some really good conversations with them. Zuck, Adam is always in my chat, or my live stream chat, and hanging out with us, and I appreciate that. But it was cool seeing some of you guys in person, because I haven't met a viewer in a while, because I haven't played a ton of football, and that's usually where I meet viewers. But yeah, it's nice to meet you guys, to meet more Barcelona fans too. in person. It's fun, especially at an event that's primarily full of Madrid fans. It was chaotic. It was fun. It was cool. And so thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to this story time. If you want to see another one, let me know. I don't know if I'm going to do this ever again, but it felt cool. And I just wanted to tell the story. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.